Hello there friends, and welcome to a weird 90s laptop review. Today we're going to find out if the Ultra 486 lives up to its name. So this computer has a 486 DX4 100 megahertz with 12 megs of RAM. And unusual for a 486, it also has a sound card. It has an ESS ES488 audio drive sound card, which, at least for the desktop counterpart, was a pretty well-reviewed Sound Blaster clone back in the day. Now, it was really difficult to find any information at all about this computer online, so big thanks to the Retro Review for posting a comment in my last video letting me know that this thing was a sub-brand of Systemax. So this Ultra brand was a sub-brand and probably based on something called the Compal N83W. The only other picture I found of this computer online was one where it was called a Scepter Targa, which sounds like a car. But my best guess is this thing came out the second half of 1994. The DX4 in this thing came out in March 1994. Must have come out sometime after that. So we're going to review this thing today. We're going to power it on, take a look inside. I've got some tests once again on floppy disk because this doesn't have a CD-ROM drive. So we'll see what it sounds like. We'll see what the screen looks like. We'll see what that gaming experience is on that sound card and this screen, and then we'll take a look at what it's like to actually use this computer. And finally, we're going to see how well it can Linux. And for that, we have Slackware 1.1.2 on 10 floppy disks. So let's dig in. So this screen is completely terrible. It's a passive matrix screen and it seems a bit yellow. Whether it was always like that, more likely it's yellowed over time as the backlight has gone bad. So I won't judge it too harshly for how yellow it is. But what's super annoying is that the contrast and brightness are FN key combos, which make them really hard to kind of figure out. A lot of times on these old computers, the contrast knobs are like on the side, but this one has them here in the keyboard as function keys. So kind of modern, I guess. And the other thing is the brightness one, it doesn't even work. So it will not change the brightness. It will change the contrast. But this passive matrix screen is terrible. Trying to use the mouse on this, they have one of those Windows 95 Plus themes on here, which makes the cursor red and does some other weird cursor things, like there's a weird kind of spinny airplane thing instead of a loading spinner. And then there's also a clock which comes up sometimes when it's loading stuff. I don't know what the difference between the airplane rotor and the clock is, but all of them are very hard to see on this screen, and I consistently lose where the mouse is, like right now, and I have to go back to the keyboard to close out of whatever it was that made me lose the mouse. So for the screen, I'm going to have to give this thing a 1 out of 5 because it's terrible. Even for a passive matrix screen, it's terrible. It hasn't aged well. It's quite yellow. The contrast is bad. It's really hard to adjust. And it really lets this otherwise kind of cool computer down. So quite unusually for a 486 computer, or 486 laptop rather, this thing has a sound card. A lot of 46 laptops did not have a sound card, and that really became popular in the Pentium era. But that really makes this computer stand out as a 486. It has the sound card. And if it didn't have this terrible screen, it would be a pretty cool DOS gaming laptop. But let's test out the sound. For that, we've got our Magic Testing floppy. This has 2 versions of Winamp on it and an MP3. And hopefully this disk drive works, because I haven't tested that. Alright, let's try the most modern Winamp. And as is custom on Windows 95, we'll just drag it directly to the desktop. Wow, that makes a lot of noise. And we've got drive problems. Well, let's see if we can start Winamp from the disk. Uh-oh. Okay, so I've made a new floppy in case the old one was bad. And I've put my MP3 and another version of Winamp on it. And let's see if we can copy. Hey, we made it. All right, let's see if we can get that newer version of Winamp. All right. Our new floppy was successful. Okay, opening Winamp 1.2. Hey, look at that. We've got Winamp on a 486. Let's open up our Sig Swag MP3. Oh, did something. Well, I guess that's it. Is the MP3 broken? Let's try Winamp 1. Ugh. Come on, trackball. Alright, maybe we should get a different MP3. Okay, so I've put another MP3 on our music test disc, our new one. And let's see if that will play. Get in there. All right, copy this over. And we'll try Winamp 1.2. Where'd it go? All right, drag this over. My God, that's like impossible to move. Nope, won't play that one at all. All right, let's try some different versions of Winamp. So now I've got 1.64 and 2.04, and what on earth are these icons? What kind of weird versions of Winamp are these? Alright, well, I guess let's try 2.04. It says it's shareware. What? It's an installer. Huh. I guess I forgot that Winamp went shareware. Okay. All right.
Winamp, it really whips the llama's ass.
Hey, at least that works. Can we play some of this other stuff now? Nice. Wow. So sound works. And that's pretty amazing considering this is a 486 laptop. I was able to get Winamp 2.04 to actually play some MP3s. So as far as sound goes, I'm going to have to give this computer a 4 out of 5 for being so forward thinking as to include an actual sound card that works. Let's play some games. I don't even remember what's on game test number 1. This program will not run under Windows. I have to run it from DOS. Do I still want to install? Yes. See Blake Stone. Install. Right, this is Blake Stone Aliens of Gold 3.0 shareware episode. All right. I guess let's restart in DOS mode and give it a try. Oops. All right, Blake.exe. We're going to run BS now. bstone.bat. There we go. Well, this ghosting is pretty bad. Oh, I got another gun, but I don't know how to switch to it. What is the difference? What's this, my stupid gun? And then my cool gun? Uh-oh. They know I'm here. Man, I'm bad at these games under normal circumstances. This ghosting makes it impossible. Huh, that guy was stupid. Just standing there like a dolt. What if we can increase the screen size? Change view. Yeah, full screen. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. It works. I don't know if it's just the ghosting, but it seems pretty smooth at this screen size. Uh-oh. It's crazy monsters. Ah, you can't get me. You're behind a force field. Intruder. Oops. I guess it's not impossible to play. It's just terrible. Uh-oh. Alright, Warcraft should be much better suited to this passive matrix screen because there's not a lot of fast movement. Although it's pretty hard to read this text. Skip that. And let me just up this contrast a bit. There we go. Not so bad. Alright, we need you to start some deforestation. And then here, we need a peon. And while that's happening, you can wander. Jeez, this trackball is terrible. It's nice to have sound. There we go. I need you to build me a farm. Right there. Now it's pretty amazing what they could fit on a single floppy disk back in the day. This whole game in 1.44 megs. Well, at least the shareware version. All right, CC1. Whoa. Volume 1. Trouble. Whoa. Ugh. That's not too bad. I mean, it's bad. I've seen worse, I guess. Ugh, it's nauseating. Alright. Is that all we have is beeps? That's the worst sound ever. Yeah, you know what? It's playable. It's a little rough, but it works. Use the fire key to activate a switch. Okay. For gaming, I'm going to give this laptop a 2 out of 5. While it's really awesome that this 486 actually has a sound card, which is super rare, unfortunately it's let down by this absolutely horrible screen. If it wasn't for this screen, this really would be the ultra gaming laptop for DOS games. So how was this thing to use as a computer? Well, once you get past the sketchy screen, I mean, it's got all the components here. It has a keyboard. It's not that bad. The keys are a little bit mushy, but they have a nice feel to them. The trackball is terrible, but I'm sure it was good when it was new. And this is a pretty fast 486. I mean, 100 megahertz. My friend's first Pentium was 75 megahertz. So, could do worse than that, I guess. And it seems like whoever used this computer before used it for a lot of word processing and Excel and stuff. And they were even using this up till 2003, if we go by the names of some of these files. So that's pretty good if you're able to use a 486 in 2003. Looks like they had the internet on here, Juno, although maybe that was bloatware from way back when this was new. But they have Internet Explorer. And I mean, for just your basics in the late 90s, this would have been pretty good. It has sound, Winamp works, Microsoft Word loads surprisingly quickly. I wonder what recent documents they have. Longitudinal pilot study.doc. Word cannot open the document. Alright. I think I saw some stuff just on the C drive. C drive. There we go. Thesis. Related literature. .doc. Alright. Whoever was using this was reading about music therapy. Well, this seems like very heady stuff. Scrolling is a bit slow. That's got to be that 12 megs of RAM, I'm sure. Alright, let me add some stuff in here. I'm going to get this person an A+. Music is great. Really fun to listen to. I like music a lot. From records, cassette, tapes, and more. Music is my passion. That's not how you spell cassette. Was there no spelling check? Alright, music is my passion. I think that needs a better font. Let's see. Comic Sans. Nice. Now let's make that a little bigger. And you know what? We have a color screen. We might as well use it to help pad our score a little bit. I'm going to say passion is pink. Make this one green. Oh yeah, this color screen is paying for itself with this one. Turquoise. Look at that. I totally just got this person an A+. Save that for the first time in 20 years. Well, as far as using this as a real computer, I'm going to have to give this a 3 out of 5. If it wasn't for this terrible screen, it would probably be a 4, but it's reasonably fast. The keyboard works. The trackball is terrible now, but it was probably fine to begin with. So I think 3 out of 5 is fair. Alright, let's take a look around the outside here. So on the right side we have our floppy drive and our 3-pin power connector. On the back we have a power button and a very nice, surprisingly intact plastic flap covering serial port, DB25 parallel, and video out. We also have a PS2 keyboard connector and microphone and speaker jack. Under this weird little plastic slider, we've got what looks to be for a docking station, I guess. And then around the other side, we've got our PCMCIA cards. And in there we have a modem. And we have an Ethernet card. Now I don't have the dongles for them, unfortunately, but they're there. And then right here we have the battery, which is NiCad. I don't think this is the original battery. It looks like an aftermarket one. It actually has a slightly different plastic color. It's pretty heavy. I'd say it weighs 8 or 9 pounds. It's made of plastic, of course, but it's not the worst plastic. Latch is right here on the front for the lid, and the hinge, it's actually reasonably strong. I mean, there's not a lot of play. It still stays in whatever position you put it in. Pretty nice. On the inside, I really like these little displays. This one tells you if it's plugged in, tells you, I guess, the battery charge, if the battery charge worked. Disk access, instead of a light, it's like a little icon in here, same with the floppy drive. So pretty neat to have this little secondary display. Kind of Apple does this today, and here we have a precursor to that. Not quite, but I like it. Keyboard's alright. You know, it doesn't have a dedicated super key. Because I guess this, you know, it has Windows 95 on there now, but predates Windows 95 by probably a year or two. So maybe this came with 3.1 originally. It has this trackball. I like trackballs. This one doesn't really work that well. And then two nice clicky mouse buttons. Surprisingly, it has a microphone built in. So if you want to do your Skype calls, this is the 486 for you. And a speaker, I guess right here. I think that is the only speaker, though I'm not entirely sure. Now if we take a look at the underside, we have a couple of panels here, probably one for memory, and that's probably the hard drive. This has definitely been opened before because at least one screw here is pretty well eaten up. And this is not even all the way snapped back in. There's even a little crack here in the plastic, so I'm a little wary of taking this one off. But I think the hard drive is under here. Okay, let's have a quick look at what's inside here. I'll take this battery out first. Now let's pop this cover, which I think is either the hard drive or memory. All right, that came off nice and easy. No complaints there. All right, one and two, and here we go. Yeah, these are not in great condition. These plastics here kind of came apart, but still good enough to hold this in place. Maybe I can touch this up with a little bit of super glue. All right, now we've got a shield there. And under here, we've got, yep, our hard drive. So let's see if we can take this hard drive out. Aha. Inside here is actually another screw. There we go. Now we've got our plate off. Let's see about getting this hard drive out. There we go. And here's our old IBM 540 meg drive. I think it might be cool to replace that with compact flash card. So for the build score, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. I think it's pretty nice. It has a cool aesthetic. It's called the Ultra. It seems fairly durable, and I really like the underside. Pretty easy to replace the hard drive. Okay, now let's see if the Ultra 486 can handle the Ultra 90's Linux distribution. We've got Slackware Linux 1.1.2 on 10 floppy disks. Now, the way Slackware works, on floppy disk especially, is you have to boot it using 2 disks. One is the boot system that creates like a RAM disk, and the other actually like bootstraps the installer. And then once you boot with those, you've got 3 disks with the base system on it. And then I've also got the disks with X Windows on it, X Free 86. And there's disk sets for all different kinds of stuff. There's another set for applications and one for networking and so on. And I don't have those. I just want to see how well this does on the CF card with a bare install of Slackware 112 with X Windows. So we're going to start with our boot disks. And I labeled these backwards, so I think I have to start with number 2, which is actually number 1. But let's give it a shot and see if this explodes. And that's pretty weird with the silent startup now, now that there's no spinning disk hard drive in there. All right, now we'll pop in the other part of the puzzle here, which is the Core 144 disk. Enter to continue, and it's loading that stuff into the RAM disk. And of course, we're now getting some errors from the floppy disk. Okay, so I made another Color 144 disk, this time from a different batch of floppies. So let's see if we can't boot now. Nope. All right. Well, I'm going to call this a fail for Linux. So for the Linux score, I'm going to give the Ultra 486 a 0 out of 5. Alright, so that about wraps it up for the Ultra 486. It's a pretty cool little laptop. It's a very fast 486, 100 megahertz DX4, and it has a sound card. You really don't ever see that in a 486. So that alone makes me really love this laptop. I wish it had a better screen. If it did, it would be really awesome for old games. But as it stands, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. Alright, well, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe.